Hello and welcome back to another video. If you've not been to my channel before, my name is Tracy Mayhew and I write small town contemporary romances set here in the UK and fantasy fiction for young adults. So today's video, before I get into that, I'm going to just give you a tiny update, not too many spoilers about Nano. It's going quite well for me. I'm not going to give too much away yet because I intend to do a little bit more excuse me. I intend to tell you a little bit more about that next week, like a mid-month kind of check-in, and then I intend to do a full roundup of Nano at the end of November. So I'm not going to say too much, but I will say it is going well. And if you are doing Nano, we're getting into the middle of the month now, so hopefully you are on top of your plans, you're on top of your project, you are working towards that 50,000 word goal, and I wish you all the best. If you are slightly behind, there is still loads of time to catch up, so you don't need to worry about, panicking. It's not panic stations yet, so take your time, plan accordingly, readjust your plans if necessary, and good luck, keep going. We are slowly but surely getting to the end of Nano. Right, so this week's video is going to be all about the tools that I use for writing. So my first, I think I've got about nine tools I think I'm going to talk about. These things make my writing process a bit more fun. For some of you they may be a bit unnecessary, which is fine. We all have our different ways of working. This is just my way of working. This is what I like using, what I enjoy. So hopefully you will agree, hopefully you will find some inspiration here, but if not, that's all good too. So my first tool, the first thing that I've just started using, actually, this isn't something that I've been doing for very long, but I have found that it's been helping me immensely organise my time, because as you know, I am a supply teacher, so my days are kind of like, some days I don't know if I'm working until the day itself, which is a pain, but with this, doing what I'm about to explain really helps to kind of time block my tools. So I time block in Google Calendar. I never used to do it. I watched a video by, I think it was Ali Abdal, a few weeks ago, and he was talking about using Google Calendar to help plan your ideal day. So I'm doing that now, from not just for my ideal day, but for my actual day, the time that I actually have. And I've found that is really good to allow me time to consider when I need to have rest time or downtime, when I am working, when I've got actual time to write with, and I find that really helpful. So if you're not time blocking, but you're having trouble sticking to a writing routine, maybe try giving Google Calendar, or maybe they've got something similar in Apple Calendar or some other calendar app. I'm not really au fait with all the apps, but if you do have an Android phone, Google Time Blocking is amazing. So I find that really useful, and it allows each activity that you plan to do, you can assign it a different colour, so it looks quite pretty at the end as well. So if that's important to you, that will help keep you focused, I think. So my second tool that I use for writing are page flags. So I have a variety of page flags, as you can see, all different colours, and I use these not only for helping me with my planning, and if there's something I particularly need. So for example, when I have my notebooks, I page flag all the character bios for the characters that I'm working with at the time for my current WIP. I might page flag the town, like little notes that I've made about the town or the place, the world, in my world building, things like that. I even use it when I read non-fiction books. As you can see, I've kind of let myself down with this one. This is a bit embarrassing, just 3 page flags at the moment, but it is something I intend to get back to reading. But yeah, when I find an important idea that I want to come back to, I will page mark it with a page flag, and I find that really helps to focus my thoughts as well while I'm reading. I've also taken to highlighting in my Kindle when I'm reading a book, non-fiction or fiction. If I find something that I particularly think is a funny line or a good way of describing something, I will highlight that as well. Again, that's something I've kind of taken on board since watching Ali Abdaal's videos as well, because he talks about highlighting things and making notes of things like that, things that are important or that you want to take note of. So yeah, I use a lot of page flags. And these are gorgeous colours as well. So again, another way to make your writing and your notebook look pretty. So I mean, if that's important, then that's something you can take on board as well. I also journal. Journal is very good for me personally. Again, this is something that I've taken on board more recently, but it helps me work through some of the plot blocks that I might be experiencing in plot or character or something. If I need to figure out how they get from A to B or scene A to scene B, then it's a good idea for me to sit down, just put on my aromatherapy diffuser, maybe take a moment to just sort of clear my mind and centre myself, and then I just start writing about what my problem is, what my issue with the plot is, and suddenly, sometimes something unlocks in my brain, and suddenly I've got an answer that I can work with. It may not be the answer that I actually stick to when it comes to the final version of the book, but it gets me past that initial obstacle that wall that I was always butting up against. So it helps to free up my mind. So that might be something you could incorporate into your writing routine if you are struggling with writer's block. Another thing that I do, and this is possibly one of the best things I've incorporated into my writing routine, and I've been doing this for a while now, courtesy of the Heart Breathings channel. She talked about writing in sprints, because before, when I first started on my writing career, I would just sit down at my computer for however long I felt was necessary and just write. But I've noticed that since I've introduced writing sprints, I write more in the time that I have. So I do sprints between 20 minutes and 25 minutes, ideally. Obviously, it's not always possible, because when I'm at work, if I've only got half an hour or 20 minutes, I do a sprint of 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So I do vary my sprint length depending on the situation that I'm in or where I am. But yeah, I do find that, particularly with Nano this year, writing in bursts of 20 minutes has really improved my word count. It's focused my mind a lot more as well. I do find that when I write in sprints, I don't have time to think about anything else, or something that's coming up in a couple of chapters' time. I don't have time to worry about that or what I've just written. I focus in on the moment. I focus in on the scene that I'm working on, and I can just be in the moment with those characters, and then slowly but surely that chapter or that scene builds up. And I think it was a couple of weeks ago I told you about this timer. This timer has been invaluable. It keeps me away from my phone, which is a temptation while I work, and I can just literally press a button, it starts. And if for some reason something crops up in the sprint, I can press the button again, it pauses, and then I can come back and just continue with that sprint. And then when it gets to the end of 20 minutes, I press the start button again, and it just goes back to 20 minutes. So I don't even have to worry about resetting the timer that I need to. Which is the problem I had with my phone, is that every time it finished, I had to reset it every time. So I was getting quite frustrated with that. It was just taking too long, and then I'd get distracted. I'd end up on Instagram or whatever. So yeah, I've taken my phone out of the equation, which I think has been a big thing for me in my writing routine as well. So I would recommend trying to do that. It is a bit of a wrench at first, I'm not going to lie. But once you get used to it, and it's only for 20 minutes, you have a 5-minute break, and then you can check your messages or whatever, and then you come back to your writing again, and you kind of get used to it. It's like a habit you just need to break, I think. Another thing that I like using, and some people will but definitely consider this extra, are my aromatherapy oils or candles or crystals. As most of you know, I've been talking about my aromatherapy oils, and I use the Creativity scent, which is a mixture of frankincense, cinnamon, peppermint and orange. I love this scent and it really does help me to focus. But I've also introduced rosemary into the mix as well, because rosemary is very good for concentration, and for me it's going to be different for everyone. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but for me aromatherapy oils is very important to my writing routine, and I love the smells they give. I love the fact that they can help you with concentration and more neurological things. It's lovely. I just love aromatherapy oil. So I never have a writing session unless I'm at work or outside the house without my aromatherapy oil diffuser being on. So yeah, that's a really important tool for me. My seventh writing tool, or tool for writing, is to have Notion to-do lists. Notion is again something that I've only just recently learned about via Heart Breathings and Ali Abdal and some other YouTubers as well. And I've set up like a homepage for Notion, and on that homepage I have like a weekly to-do list. And so every Sunday I sit down and write out what I need to do. I'm not 100% great at doing that at the moment because Nano kind of distracts me from doing that, but that is something that on a day-to-day basis, take Nano out of the equation, that is something I want to do. Have Sunday as a planning day so that I can get my weekly to-do list set up. So then I just say I've got sprints at this time and I can tick it off. It's like a to-do list that you can tick off, and I find that really helpful because I like lists. I like working through lists, crossing things off and seeing things actually being done. So if you're the same, if you're of that mindset as well, I highly recommend you getting Notion. You can get a free version, and unless you're a business with lots of people working in your team, you don't need anything more than the free version, and you can set up really easily. There are a few how to set up your home hub kind of videos on YouTube, and it's just really easy. Mine's not anything spectacular. It's not, bells and whistles or anything like that. It's just really simple. I've got a calendar on there, and like I say, my to-do list and that as well. So I would consider doing something like that. Otherwise, there's always just a journal and you can write your own to-do list for the week. It's completely up to you, but to-do lists have been really, really helpful for me as well. My next thing are these little gadgets. I love these. Sorry, wrong way. I love these. These are pen holders. So basically what you do is you can get them from Amazon quite cheaply, and you can stick them at the back, on the back page of your journal or your notebook, whatever you're using, and then literally you've got a pen wherever you go. So if I take this notebook out with me, I usually take this to work with me because this is my romance writing world building Bible. So I've got lots of information here about characters and the town that I'm working on at the time. If I take this to work with me, I've always got a pen. So that's fantastic. I can go anywhere with that and I'll always have a pen. I also have one attached to my journal so that my journal always has a pen and I don't have to faff around looking for pens and things like that. So I will link these below because I do genuinely think these are very, very helpful for writers, and for anyone who does a lot of writing in their work actually. But yeah, I would definitely, and you can get them in a variety of colours as well. You can get them in a variety of colours. They're not to hand at the moment. Here they are. So you can get all kinds of colours as well. And they're not too expensive. They're quite cheap as well. So I will link those underneath this video. So if you're interested in those, you can go and grab your own and start using them for yourself. Because I was always losing pens. I've got loads of pens. I'm a writer. I have loads of pens, but then I'm like, I can't find a pen. So these really help. The pen just stays attached to the book, and I don't need to worry. So writing is a lot easier to do if there's a pen at hand all the time. And I do quite a lot of handwriting things. I do like to world build and handwrite all my world building notes and character notes and things like that. Actually, that's quite a nice link onto this notebook, actually. These are Stationery Island notebooks. I absolutely adore these notebooks. I'm not going to show you any important pages for spoilers and things like that. So these are dot grid, I don't know if you can see, but they are dot grid notebooks. And the pages are really nice. They're you can write with gel pens on those and they don't seep through to the back, they don't go back. But I've got one for romance and I've got one for my fantasy books as well. And as I say, all of my world building and any book notes and things I want to put in there go in those books, and I swear by these books. I love them. So I will also put a link in the description box for these Stationery Island notebooks, and they've even got their little stationery stamp on the back. Oh, and another thing is they have at the back a pocket that you can use as well for stickers or anything like that. So very useful. And these elastic bands, I love these. They help keep the book shut, or they help mark your page if you need to have your page marked as well. So as I say, I will leave a description in the box below in the description box for those. I will leave a link in the description box for those. Sorry about that. And my last thing, which I'm quite sad about actually, because a few weeks ago it actually came to the end of its life, unfortunately. I had a Polaroid zip printer. It was lovely. It was a tiny printer, and it used to print on 2-inch by 3-inch papers, Polaroid papers, and I used that for all of my notes regarding my characters, places, anything like that. And I was using it so much and I loved it. But like I say, I lost it recently and I was very sad about that. You can get similar things, and I am looking into getting another one because I found it so invaluable for world building and character building as well, because you can have, let's see if I can, I'll show you Brandon, because, so what I do is, I don't want to show you too much. So what I do is I print out the picture of the actor that I see as Brandon or whoever, and then I've got like a visual aid for how to describe him if I ever get stuck. It also helps me to think ahead, long term. Let's live the dream. It will one day be made into a film, and David Oakes will actually play Brandon, or who I envisage for whichever character. But yeah, I just really enjoyed that process of going on Pinterest, finding appropriate, or going into my own photos, because a lot of the places that I actually base my stories, especially my romance, are based on actual places I've been to. So Romance in the Lakes obviously was inspired by all of my trips to the Lake District. So I had loads of photos from the Lake District. So I just go through my photo reel and just highlight the pictures that I wanted, print them off, stick them in, write about which part of the Lake District, blah, 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 how it inspired me and stuff like that. So, but now that I can't do that, I was going to do that for my current work in progress, the one for Nano that I'm working on. I did all the pictures and I was about to print them out, but my printer died, and I was like, oh, that's so disappointing. So now I need to find another one. I haven't yet managed to find one that I kind of think is the same. I'm not very techie, so I don't want anything too complicated. So I am, as I say, in the process, and when I find one, I will let you know. So yeah, so that's the video. That's this week's video finished. That's all of my tools that I use for writing. I hope that you can find something that might inspire you in amongst all of my tools. As I say, I will leave the correct links underneath this video. So if you are interested in the notebooks or the pen holders, go and check them out. So as I said at the beginning of this video, if you're doing Nano, keep going. We are almost there. We are getting into the final stages, and hopefully you are keeping at it. Even if you're slightly behind, there's still time for you to catch up. Keep working, don't give up. And remember, rest when you need it. I took some days off this week, a couple of days off actually, and I had a day when I did some writing but didn't hit my daily word count, but I'm still feeling good about it. Those rest days were important. Those rest days are always important. So please put your mental and physical health first. The word count doesn't matter at the end of the day, as long as you're healthy and fit. Okay, the writing will get done eventually, even if you don't hit the 50,000 word goal, but we're being positive. So if you're not doing Nano, because I know some of you aren't doing Nano, happy writing. I hope whatever project you're working on is going well. And whatever stage you're at in that project, editing, writing, planning, whatever, I hope it's going well. So that's it for this week. I will see you next week with a nano update and another video. So see you later. Bye.